Hello and welcome to part 7. What I often refer to as being the fun part of vintage radio restoration is more or less complete. Now is the time to move on to smartening up the chassis. Before I begin cosmetic work, I will remove each one of the 5 valves. Once they are in, say, storage, I will clean, lift, mask and spray paint the audio and mains transformers. Cleaning off rust is very important before painting. That is the area around the mains transformer masked off. Transformer is now ready for receiving its primer coat, and the surrounding area around the audio output transformer has also been masked off. Both the transformers have been primed, ready for their final coat. I have used Me Machine auto spray paint. Green transformers. Yeah, it's different. I used plastic coat metal hammer finish. Very good paint. Allow about an hour between coats and also spray paint in a well ventilated area. Now that I have allowed almost 24 hours for the spray paint to cure, I will now move on to preparing the main chassis for receiving its primer coat. I shall begin that task by first removing the dial reflector supporting metalwork, which I have already made a start. The 2 spray painted transformers masked and ready for rising a little from the surface of the chassis. Just there. I will now go on to mask off the 2 IF transformers, which have also been raised a little of the chassis surface. Those 2 chaps masked off. I'll now remove the twin tuning capacitor from this chassis along with the frame aerial. Those 2 components removed, I will now remove the control shaft extenders and completely remove the drive spindle assembly for cleaning. Here I have produced a quick ballpoint pen sketch of the frame aerial assembly. The risk of reconnecting it back into the circuit incorrectly will hopefully be minimal. I have removed the 3 extenders from each one of those 3 controls just there. It is generally good practice to apply a spot of lubricating oil to all threaded parts such as nuts, bolts and screws. There, I've applied some to those. Not to, and I do repeat, not to any tuning adjustment threads such as trimmers, padders or IFT slugs. Wherever possible, avoid rotating anything of those sorts. Now I will go on to remove the tuning cord spindle. There it is, the drive spindle removed from the front of the chassis, all cleaned up and is good to go. I'm just removing this surface grime from the top of the radio chassis with this fine wire brush just here. The surface grime removed, I have gone ahead and removed the surface rust with a powered round wire brush. As you'll see, in places like here, here, here and there. I'm not convinced that I will need to apply pink rust remover. Here in England this is known as Genelite. In the United States of America it is known as naval jelly. Of course I'll have a better idea once I've extended those test areas. As you can see, this chassis is cleaning up. See here how perished all three rubber grommets have become. They will all need replacing. Once they begin to perish, there is little to no shock absorbed when the tuning capacitor is rotated. Sometimes that will cause the drive cord to unravel off the tuner capacitor drum pulley. There we go. I cracked on with removing surface rust from the chassis and tuner capacitor bracket. Then, after masking, I pressed on with applying a coat of primer paint to them both. Now I will forge ahead with applying the final coats of Tetrasil, Silver Wheels, Trade spray paint. I am well aware my spray painting ability is somewhat wanting, but this Silver Wheel spray paint job will suffice. Surely most of you viewing will agree. This chassis looks a little better than it did earlier in this video production. Rightio chaps, it's time for me to knock off for the rest of today. It is 23:40. Before I disappear I'll have a drink of lime juice cordial. Very nice. You know, I can picture the majority of American viewers having a good old titter at this. A Brit or limey partaking of lime juice cordial. Very droll. Next time in part 8 I will continue with totting up the radio chassis. Until then, this is me saying toodle pip.